Hey guys, I have been recording. This is probably my eighth video of the day. So we got a different angle here, and if you don't mind, I'm going to sip some water while we do this video. Hey there guys, Mikey here, and welcome to the Comic Junkies Corner. So guys, we are here to talk about Flash, Season 2, since it is out on Netflix now. Earlier than I anticipated, actually. I thought it was supposed to come out this week, but it came out like a couple weeks ago, actually. So a little bit different angle here. This is probably my eighth video of the day, so my voice is tired. I'm tired, and I'm probably going to be sipping water throughout this video, so I apologize for that. But I definitely wanted to get this video done and out. I lost my light for the day. I'm actually on a battery backup because we're supposed to have a storm, bad storm come through. So if I lose power, this light will still be there, but all the lights like towards like the living room and stuff like that will be off, so which you guys will never notice. Like the camera will still record, the computer will still be going, so it'll be like I never stopped. But anyway, on to other more important things like the Flash. Season 2. So Season 2 picks up where Season 1 left off, a few months later actually than what I expected. I actually expected to see the events unfurl from Season like it to be linear, but actually you see Barry, who's being the Flash, more so in kind of in the shadows now, not really kind of staying out of the limelight, and that's for a particular reason. And you guys already know, if you've read the title, you know there's going to be spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it, come back, and we'll talk about it. So, or if you don't care about spoilers, just stick around. So Firestorm dies in the events that happen towards the end of Season 1 of Flash. There is a portal that's created, kind of like a black hole that's created, and they have to close it, but Firestorm has to do something to help stabilize it. And Flash couldn't do it by himself, so he helps out. And that meant that he might die, but only part of, if you've watched Flash, you know what I'm talking about. One part of Firestorm dies. The other one's okay. Okay as can be, but he's actually dying throughout the season, and they find another compatible match with him. But for the most part, like, Flash is feeling really, really down after the events that happen, and he feels very much responsible. And there's a lot that actually goes on here in this show that he really takes ownership for. He probably shouldn't, but he takes ownership for them for one particular reason. He goes back in time and alters the timeline. So when he did that, and it was accidental, he didn't know, but when he did that, it was just kind of like he set off events that he can't particularly understand. And also, there's things that actually go on in other Earths. So we are introduced to the multiverse in this particular season. We're introduced to Earth 2, Earth 3 later on, and dare I say maybe Earth 4? Because I think that's where Supergirl is, on Earth 4, Supergirl, Superman. Now, one funny thing is, one thing's constant in all these Earths: Batman. Because they never actually say Batman, but when they refer to him, Batman is there. In fact, in Arrow, you definitely know Batman is there, because I think in Season 1... Season 1? Is that where the Suicide Squad was formed? I think in Season 1 of Arrow, you hear Harley in one of the cells at Argus. So you automatically know, like, okay, Batman is part of this universe. They make references to him constantly, and even Supergirl makes references to Batman. So it's one thing that's constant in all universes: Batman. He's always going to be there. So it's kind of funny that happens. But yeah, you're introduced to the multiverse. There's one thing that I didn't really like. They kept referring to the Reverse Flash, and I'll tell you in a second. But like they kept referring to the Reverse Flash as I gotta take a drink. Hang on, guys. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I said my throat was getting really dry. But they kept referring to Reverse Flash as Harrison Wells. That was kind of annoying to me because that was Eobard Thawne. That was not the real Harrison Wells, and they kept referring to the Reverse Flash, the bad guy, as Harrison Wells, and Harrison Wells wasn't the bad guy. So, but you see Harrison Wells from another Earth, another dimension, or whatever, and you get to see not the Reverse Flash, but Zoom. Horrible name. I'm sorry, DC Comics. That is a horrible name. What the heck is Zoom? Like, you really just named a guy Zoom, but whatever. And they were just like, even like they say in the show, like, that's a dumb name or whatever. And they were just like, they went to this like tragic story of how he became named Zoom or whatever. And I'm just like, I mean, that's all terrible, but it's still stupid. I'm just saying, it's still a dumb name. If you ask me if I'd say that to him, like, yes. Yep. If he can, I mean, he's going to kill me anyway. So I'm just like, your name's stupid. That's it. Your name is stupid. But yeah, just like, that was one thing that kind of bugged me about it. Is like they kept referring to him, so every time they saw Harrison Wells, the face, yeah, I can kind of make the correlation and stuff like that because that's the face of the man that was the bad guy, even though it wasn't him. So it kind of bugged me a little bit, but I was just like, just call him Thawne. Call him Thawne. Why do you keep referring to him as Wells? That's not Wells. It's Thawne. But I think like towards the end of the season they finally got that, but it wasn't. It was kind of annoying throughout the season or whatever. But like I said, you're introduced to parallel Earths. By the way, like I said, there is a particular episode where he does visit Supergirl's Earth. Excuse me, because he's running so fast. He's trying to figure out how to be fast enough to beat Zoom. Zoom is pretty much him from another Earth, except Zoom has a very, very tragic backstory in that, like, his mother, like him, like Barry, his mother was murdered in front of him, but it was murdered by his father. And, like, his father actually did commit the murder that, what's his name? Like, that Barry's father was accused of. And, you know, he's kind of unstable, and he's kind of a criminal in most regards or whatever. Jay Garrick. That's what he's going by anyway. He's going by Jay Garrick, but his actual name is something. Dang it. What is his actual name? His name is, he's going by Jay Garrick, so like I kept referring, it was one of those things like they kept referring to him as the character, so I eventually forgot. It took me to like the end of the season when they finally mentioned Eobard Thawne that I finally remembered. I was just like, oh yeah, that's right. Like his name's Thawne, his name's not Wells, and like, but they kept referring to him as Jay, even though his name wasn't Jay Garrick. It was just kind of, it was one of those things, like it just gets annoying, and like you actually tend to forget the actual person's name. Even after they reveal to be a different person, they still refer to him as Jay. So I'm going to refer to him as Jay, or Zoom for the most part. But they find out what Zoom's real identity is and stuff like that. And he goes through a rough. He, like I said, he has a very similar backstory to pretty much beat for beat with Barry's, except horrifying. Like he goes through some really bad stuff, and then like the accident happens because they were experimenting on him or something. The accident happens, and he becomes the fastest man alive. But you gave somebody who was extremely unstable, extremely angry, that power. You're going to get Zoom. You're going to get somebody who wants to be powerful. He wants all the power so he can, or I don't know what his. He wanted to really, truthfully, he wanted to end everything. I think that was his major goal, was to end everything. I think that actually throughout the season, you actually find out like he just wants to destroy everything, and it kind of reminded me of Crisis on Two Earths, whatever. When Owlman wanted to, he threatened to the syndicate was threatening, but he was really trying to do it. He was really trying to destroy everything. He's just like, what's the use of destroying one Earth when there's millions of others out there now destroying all of them? Now that. And he's voiced by James Woods, so I mean, come on. He's voiced by Hades, come on. He's always got to be evil, but yeah, in this particular case, it was just kind of like, man, he wanted to destroy everything. That was his end goal. Now, he would not have told anyone that. He just kind of manipulated the villains from Earth 2 and would send them over to try to destroy the Flash and stuff. And they put it this way. Zoom pushes every inch of Barry's limits to where Barry literally broke. Barry, like his father died. Like, Zoom kills his father. And I was just like, please don't do this. Please don't do it. I was this whole time, I'm like, please don't do it. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. Something happened. Please don't do it. He does not need this to happen. This was like the last thing he needed, because he threatened every aspect of his friends, his family, himself. Like, and then to grab his father. And it was for nothing else than to show him like, okay, now we are alike. Now you'll give into the rage, et cetera, and stuff like that. And, kind of like a Joker did with Jim Gordon, like trying to like, it's like, oh, it takes us one bad day, killing joke type stuff. And, man, when that happens, I'm not a violent person. But I was like, Barry, kill him. Kill him, Barry. He's not going to stop. Kill him. So, but he tries to at a certain point, and it was mainly because like he was able to go back in time and figure out like a way to like enhance his speed with this device. That's how he's able to travel between dimensions to different Earths. How he travels to Earth 4 with Supergirl and Superman. But and it makes him faster. It makes him actually faster than Zoom, and he's able to beat Zoom. But there's this whole thing with time remnants. Now, the whole concept of time travel in this show, I didn't really pay too much attention to it with Arrow. With season 1. I didn't really pay too much attention to it with season 1, and the reason being was I felt like there were two timelines, or like multiple timelines, and this is what created the multiple Earths. This is my opinion anyway. This is what created those multiple Earths. So like, even though like he would go back into the present time, if he went back and came back, he's not coming back to the same present, and it's very obvious. He's not coming back to the same present. The past he left, and maybe this is my personal take on it. It might be different. I might be completely wrong, but I feel like the present that he left, when everything is being destroyed or something like that, and people are dying, especially like what happens in Arrow, you'll see. By the way, I need to make a note about with Arrow, but when something happens and he goes into the past, and when he comes back to the present, I was thinking like, okay, he undid those events, but he only undid those events for that Earth. When he came back, he's at a different present. He's no longer in that present, that present time. Everyone's kind of knowing that he went back into the past to do certain things, but the whole concept of time remnants that was my idea up until this point. The whole concept of time remnants threw that out the window because it's like, okay, now he can exist in the same plane as his past self or whatever. And it was very, very odd because time travel is one of those things, it is extremely hard to explain. It is hard to do in TV shows and stuff like that. And aside from how great this season was, that is the one thing that hurt it. Because it's like, time travel. Time travel will hurt anything. Time travel hurts the Terminator series. Like Terminator 1 and 2 are probably like the best ones, but like the time travel thing, if you think about it, it makes no sense. It really does. It makes no sense. I was like, wait, okay, so this happened. So what happens with my head hurts. So that same thing happens here in Flash, and there's a meta joke about it too. It's just like, they talk about like, well, I came back. I went to the future. I went back to the past and got a time remnant of my future self. And I'm like, what? I'm being perfectly honest with you guys. Time remnants make no sense unless you're going by the theory that if you go back in time, there's going to be a future version of yourself. There's going to be a present, like, okay, your future version of yourself comes back in time. And now you two are existing in the same plane of time at this particular point, which is why Barry can see the Flash fighting the Reverse Flash when he went back to save his mom and stuff like that. So they can exist in that same time frame. But here was the thing that got me. It was like, okay, he goes back, and then when he goes back, like, okay, he comes back to a future that's been altered. So he's not going back to the same present that he was before. But like I said, the concept of time remnants throws that out the window because he's obviously coming back to the same time, to the same present, if both of them are existing at the same time. So that was like, time remnants was like, what the heck is happening here? Even when they explained it the first time it happened, it was like, I don't get it. I have no idea. I have no clue. I have no clue. Zoom has done it multiple times, but Barry only does it once, I think. And it's actually kind of sad when Barry's time remnant dies, because it's like, you're seeing the Flash die. So it's like, oh, I don't want to see the Flash die. So, but yeah, it's just one of those things, like, it messes. Zoom had done so many things to Barry, and like, but I wasn't talking about that anymore. I was talking about time remnants, but like, time remnants, like, it actually does make I can't explain them. That's the one thing that I will say hurts any show. It hurt, like I said, it hurt Terminator. It hurt Dragon Ball Z. It hurt, anything that has to do with time travel. It hurts it. Days of Futures Past. Even then, like, when you involve time travel and you try to, like, you try to explain it and try to do certain things with it, you're always going to be contradicting yourself. There's like no way that you can actually, there's no actual way that you can have a perfect plot line with time travel. There's always going to be some inconsistency. There's always going to be some plot hole that's going to be just glaring at you. And like I said, that being the only thing that was wrong with the show this season, that's a testament. That is a testament to how good this season was. And it was heart-wrenching at times. There was like the whole like moments like that he would share with his family, with Joe and Iris, and I'm like, oh gosh. And the characters of Iris say, I remember Iris's name because Iris had more to do with this season. This season, to me, focused more on the characters than it did on Barry's superpowers and like the whole superhuman thing. This was very emotionally and character driven. It is probably, very few shows will come out as strong as the Flash did this time around. Like, okay, you have a first season, the second season does come out, second season is usually better, but, in some cases, but not this much better. This one was a lot better than season one. Not to say season one was bad. Season one was great, but this one was a lot better than season one. And I was like, wow, I was really surprised. They had me, of course, they had me tearing up, crying at times. But, there was like, especially when his dad was killed, I was more angry for him than I was like it was like a gut punch, man. Like I was begging for that not to happen. And it was one of those things. Everything is setting it up for it to happen. So it's just like, please don't do this. Don't do this, show. It's like, I see it coming. I'm like, don't do this. Don't do this, man. It's like, it's not as blatant as in Star Wars Force Awakens with, Han Solo's death or whatever. That was extremely blatant, obvious that he was going to die. But with Barry's dad, it was like there was little hints dropped here and there. It's like certain things were said, certain forms of dialogue that you hear in every movie and every show, or like that this character's he's gonna die. He's gonna die. For me, it was kind of like the light bulb was set off when he decided to come back. I was like, is he going to die? Don't do that to him. I was like, don't do that. I was like, literally like, don't do that to Barry. He doesn't need this right now. Don't do that. But they did that. And he went off the rails to the point where they had to lock him up. And I was like, wow. I mean, I'd be that way. I'm not even going to lie. You're going to kill, like, one person killed my mom. Another person killed my dad. And the fact that, Zoom was using a time remnant this whole time to get inside and learn about Barry and learn everything about him so that he can betray him and, be able to get this close to him to hurt him in the way that he did. So it was because, all right, in season one, Barry already let somebody get that close to him and he hurt them and he got hurt because of it. For the same thing to happen in season two and to lose more people that were close to him, it was just like, man. Like I said, when he started deciding he wanted to come back, I was like, oh gosh, don't let this happen, man. Don't let this happen. Come on, CW, don't do this. But they did, and yeah, he went off the rails. So he was like crazy angry. He was just like, he was going to kill him. He was going to kill him. I had no like real like reservations about the fact. And to be honest, I would not have had, it's out of Barry's character. Yes. But man, could you have blamed him for being that angry? And that's why like everyone kind of like they locked him up because they didn't want him emotionally like that. And then come to find out they had to do it anyway because something else happened. And but anyway, Zoom challenged him to a quote unquote race or whatever, and Barry used the whole time remnant trick to try to get him to. Kind of forced him out. And he forced these things called the time wraiths. Now, time wraiths are interesting. I kind of can buy they don't like people mess with the timeline. And apparently Reverse Flash has been doing that a lot. Obviously, because he has a bunch of time remnants. But Flash only did it a couple times. So it's kind of like, what's going to happen now? So he uses the time race, and he was like, the whole plot was like, oh, I hope they're more angry at Zoom than they are at me. And he uses the time race to actually defeat Flash. It's a gruesome death, but man, it's one of those like, yeah, I don't feel bad. I'm kind of glad he's gone because he would not have stopped. And that was one of those like, same thing with Gotham. With the villain in season 2 of Gotham, there's a villain that's just like, you can't stop him. You cannot stop him. What do you do? What do you do? So it's kind of like one of those. It's like I don't want to make the comparison, but like a rabid dog. There's nothing you can like. After a certain point, there's nothing you can do for them. They're just going to be vicious and they're going to attack and they're going to try to kill you. They have no sense of themselves left in them, so there's only one thing you can do. In all honesty, the humanity was completely removed from Zoom, and to a point where he was like a rabid dog, man. I mean, he just wanted destruction. He was willing to destroy an entire multiverse, and there's no telling what kind of damage that would have done. But he just wanted to do it. He wanted complete and utter destruction, and it's like, man, for somebody to have gone off the rails that much. But, enough trauma will do it to you. Like, you see how Barry got. You see that. So, like, enough trauma will just make you, one day, you're just like, you're so angry, and then you just can't go back. And that's kind of what happened. That's what they wanted to stop Barry from doing, was becoming Zoom. Because, like, he realized he had snapped. But then, if he had gone through with doing what he was doing, there would have been that anger inside of him at all times. So, you got to meet the original Speedster, Jay Garrick. I was wondering when that was going to happen, but Jay Garrick is actually from Earth 3. And he had actually been held prisoner by Zoom for a long time. And if you're paying attention, like not like paying attention, but like close attention, you can figure out like that was him. You kind of knew after a certain point in time. It was just like, who is that? And then you're like, Jay Garrick. And then you're like, there's a little offhand line that's mentioned. It was just like, oh, Garrick was my family name or whatever. You're like, I know who that is. I know who he's holding prisoner now. So, like, you can kind of put two and two together. But, like, if you don't get it, it's a nice little surprise or whatever. You get to see, like, the old school Flash. He's got the helmet and stuff. And, like, the red suit with the blue pants, I think. So, but, yeah, just, like, you get to see that. So, it's pretty cool. Now, here comes the real spoiler part. If you're not already watching season 3, Flashpoint Paradox. For those who read the comics or even seen like the animated, I don't remember much about the animated film that came out. I knew it was good. I have it. I just haven't seen it in so long. But like, the Flashpoint Paradox. Barry was severely traumatized from what the events that went on in season 2 of Flash. Because there's a lot that happens. And he is just so broken by the end of it that he does something that he knows he should not do. But he does it anyway. And he goes to the past and stops Reverse Flash from killing his mother. And you see the actual, like, if you watch season 1, you see that Flash from the other Flash from like a past present who went back to the past to stop it. Like, he sees that and he's like, oh, and he smiles and he's like, thank you, but he disappears. So that's kind of like he just faded into obscurity. He didn't just like go back to his time. He literally faded away. So he does not exist anymore. So that begs the question, what happened? What's the new timeline going to be like now that Barry's mother is going to be alive? So it makes you wonder. Like I said, they hint at Batman, but they don't flat out mention Batman. They're like, okay, there's mentions of him in Arrow, mentions of him in Supergirl, mentions of him in The Flash, but they don't flat out say Batman. There's just like certain things like the cave, like they say the Arrow Cave, is it like that? It's like the Arrow Cave, like that other guy, or like it's like, oh, like I thought masks were like this something of I thought masks were the big thing in the other town, so I was like, okay, I know you're talking about Batman there and stuff. I don't think they're going to show him, though. That's the one thing. It's like, I don't think he's going to be a part of it. I know, like, from pictures I've seen online that Kid Flash is going to be in season 3. I've seen the pictures of that. Wally West is introduced in season 2, which he has a good introduction. I kind of like it. He's also a victim. Well, you'll see it if you haven't seen it. Hopefully, you'll see it after this. But like, it begs to wonder what's actually going to happen. What's going to happen with Arrow? What's different about it? Does it suffer from the effects? It has to, in some way, shape, or form. So, like, I remember, like, there was a post that JJ actually put out not too long ago, because he actually keeps up with the shows to a certain degree. I think he more so watches them on Netflix now, but, like, he used to keep up with the shows, like, pretty regularly. And he posted, he's just like, hey, Arrow's getting back to his vigilante roots. So it's like, he's what? Why? Why would he do that? Does the paradox have something to do with that? So it makes you wonder. So I'm kind of curious as to what's going to happen with season 3. Like I said, season 2 is really good. Time travel. It's frustrating when you try to think about it. I mean, especially like if you deal with a lot of science. Like I'm going to school for engineering, so it's like you try to understand like what's actually happening. They're like, this makes no sense. Even if a person that doesn't really like care about science, it will hurt their head. It's like, what? But if you overlook that, this is a great season for the show. Everyone is definitely bringing their A game in terms of acting and performances and stuff like that. So what did you guys think of season 2 of Arrow? Do you think it's better than season 1? I personally did. What did you think? Were you able to follow the time travel stuff? And if you did, hey, like, call me an idiot. Put in the comments below, just like, hey, stupid. This is what's actually happening. And make sure I want to see screenshots of the equations and stuff and proofs and what's actually going on. I want to see the science behind this. So don't just say like, oh, well, it's this. Like, I want to see scientific proofs. Okay. So make sure that's in the comments too. So anyway, yeah, put that in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your favorite characters were, some of your favorite villains. Did you like Zoom? Do you also think his name is ridiculous as I do? I mean, he's a scary ass villain, don't get me wrong, but Zoom. Anyway, follow my friend JJ's blog at 4comicjunkies.blogspot.com. Like I said, I'm sorry guys, I'm very tired. It'll be the last video of the day, but yeah, follow him. Follow him on Twitter at 4comicjunkies. Follow me on Twitter at Mr. McBlam. And yeah, if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video.